Today we are going to begin the Early Humans unit. The first lesson that we are going to cover today is Early Humans Vocab. We are going to start today's lesson with the word fossil. Fossil is an impression from a past age, usually an animal. About 25 minutes from here, there is a community called Bentonville, North Carolina. It is the place where a famous Civil War battle happened. It is also the location of a Boy Scout camp called Tuscarora. At Camp Tuscarora, we found one day this fossil. This fossil is an impression from a past age. It is an impression of a left-behind deer. It is usually an animal. You still can find these fossils around here in this county. They're also common down toward Pamlico Sound. Lots of shark fossils as well. They're also really famous in the mountains of North Carolina as well. But a fossil is an impression from a past age. The next word that we're going to cover today is artifact. Like a fossil, an artifact is an item that was left behind by early people. The most common examples are tools and weapons. Like a fossil, this was also found at Camp Tuscarora. What this basically is an arrowhead. An arrowhead was used by the Native American people 300, 400, 500 years ago, and basically what they would use the arrowhead for is they would sharpen it up, then they would put it on the end of their bow or the end of their spear, and they would basically go after an animal or another tribe that was trying to invade that group of Native Americans. The reason that the items were left behind is either for two reasons. They either couldn't carry it with them at the time they were leaving their area, or they were left behind so others after them could know who was there before them. That is an artifact. A fossil and an artifact are very similar. Just remember that a fossil is an impression, usually an animal. An artifact is an item that was left behind purposefully, usually a tool or a weapon. The next word that we're going to cover today is Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia means land between the rivers. It was the Tigris and the Euphrates River. The Tigris is right here. The Euphrates is right here. Mesopotamia is in the middle of it. Today, most of Mesopotamia was located in what is today Iraq. It also stretched into Turkey and into Lebanon as well, but the main areas of Mesopotamia were in what is modern-day Iraq today. Let's move on to several additional words. Levees. Levees were raised areas of the earth to hold back flood waters. There's two main examples. The first example was levees were built up to hold back the Tigris and the Euphrates. When the Tigris and the Euphrates flooded, the houses wouldn't be damaged, but the farmlands would flood, but it would cause the soil to be that much more plentiful, that much more healthy, and grow much bigger crops and have much more opportunities to food. The next example is Katrina. In the early 2000s, there was the most powerful hurricane in known history, came across the shores of New Orleans, Louisiana. There are man-made levees in New Orleans to basically block the Gulf and the Mississippi River. Unfortunately, the levees did not hold, the levees bursted, and the flood waters came in and basically flooded New Orleans. This is the two examples, Katrina and the Tigris and the Euphrates River. The next word that we're going to cover today is irrigate. Irrigate is a system to water crops using canals. Now, as most of you have already heard about me, I come from a long family of farmers. Basically, that's what we lived off was the farmland. What we do is we take water from the local ponds, local rivers, and we take pipes and we run them to the fields, and then we got this long spinning, almost like a large sprinkler, and it spins or it stays in place. And that is how we water the crops, so the whole field can be watered. We sometimes have to move it, but what they would do in early humans' time is they would take the Tigris and the Euphrates, take large pipes or build these canals and basically run water to irrigate their fields. City-state. City-state is a self-governing city and the lands that surround it. So, the county seat of Johnson County is Smithfield. Let's say Smithfield was a city-state. Basically what would happen with a city-state is Smithfield would be the main area. It would also rule Clayton, Selma, and Palo because those are smaller areas. So it would be the county seat or the big area ruling the smaller areas or governing the smaller areas. We're going to talk more about city-state in our Greece and our Rome units. It really comes back into play when we talk about Greece. So, the final set of words begins with the word cuneiform. Cuneiform is the world's first known writing system. It is based on lines. For example, the letter A has two triangles with two lines. The letter B has 1, 2 with two lines, 1, 2 with additional lines. So it has to do primarily with lines. A stylus. How did they write cuneiform? With a stylus. It was a wedge-shaped instrument made out of reed. Now, reed is a tough type of wood that most of you know reed as what you would put on a woodwind instrument. That is the same type of material. It's tough, it's hard to break. It is also known as the ancient pencil. Most people have always remembered a stylus as a Nintendo DS, which you would use to punch the screen with. That's fine. You can use that example for that. Prehistory. Prehistory is the period before writing was developed. It is known as the period of the cave people, the period of grunting, the period of artifacts, the period of irrigation, the period of Mesopotamia, the period of cuneiform, the period of fossils. This ends the vocab for the early humans unit.